Recently on Reddit, a user by the name Kage Naka Alt, I probably pronounced that terribly, made a post saying not being able to use Asian English cards is just plain stupid. I bought 3 of these off of TCG Corner for $10 each, compared to the $125 at the time of writing, for our secrets. It's pretty BS that Asian English charities get to enjoy the game without having to deal with the BS rarity bumps. And it's also BS that we can't just use them in the TCG. I've heard every excuse in the book as to why we can't use them, and all I can say is in the long run this might hurt the secondary market, but Konami would still be making just as much, if not more money. Now, there are 2 things that I want to say. One that's like more relevant, and something that is more irrelevant. But the main thing that I want to say here is, first of all, Asian English countries, they get things nowhere near the same sets, as far as I'm aware. I literally have people in a Hero Discord talk about how they get cards way after everyone else because they're in Asian and English territories, and it's basically like they have their own format going on because they just get things later. Because it's not like they're being printed for the OCG, they're being printed for the OCG but in English, which is its own run. Again, that part's irrelevant. The relevant part is that in the TCG, cards are expensive. Like, if we just quickly go have a look at how much SP Little Knight is currently, you can see that if we go in here, currently the most recent SP Little Knight that was sold was going for $100 and $120. More or less to understand here is that, well, one, the price is going down currently as of right now because there's tins coming out soon and people are trying to move theirs and then probably just buy a cheaper copy if that's what they want to do. Some people don't care about that and they just want the most expensive copy. If that's the case, that's the reason why the quarter century secret variants of the cards always stick around, because they're always going to be the rarest version of the card. In fact, heck, I'm trying to get a copy of one of these just because it'll always be expensive and that's the highest rarity. Not that I can play it because I'm a hero player. Not the point. But the point is, specifically, is that yes, cards in the TCG are expensive, and this one being $100, which is a lot of money for a piece of cardboard. But why are cards this expensive in the TCG? There are multiple reasons why these cards are expensive. The main reason is that Konami is a corporation and they want to make as much money as possible, and they are legally allowed to do so. So what they do is a thing called short printing, where they will print a small amount of the best cards they know will do competitively well, so they can sell more boxes. The problem with this is that it leads to a secondary market that vendors or people who don't even play the card game itself, because I have no issues with players getting their hands on these cards and being like, oh, I'm not going to play SP Little Knight, and then selling it on to then buy more from the hobby to then keep playing it. It's an issue because it leads to a secondary market where it is so expensive because it just can be. Someone just decided they were going to sell SP Little Knight for $125, someone bought it because heck, I need it competitively, and then it became that expensive because it's so rare to get. The reality is that specifically SP Little Knight is not worth $125, it's not worth $100. It's a piece of fucking cardboard. The issue specifically is that it's so rare that people can say it's worth $100, and now it just is. Now, why specifically does the OCG just not have this problem with secondary markets? And the answer may shock you, and it's because they have harsher laws on gambling, and that's it. Konami isn't legally allowed in Japan to print boxes with short printing. They're not allowed to do that. They have to print each card in every single box. So the way they get around this is they just print each card in every single box at lower rarities, super, common, you name it. And what this does is that technically that secret's still out there and it's still going to be expensive. That quarter century secret is still out there and it's still going to be expensive, but because there's more of that card out there, the overall mass of it is just cheaper, because competitively, which is the main reason these cards get so expensive, is because they're a competitive card and they know people will spend the money to play the game competitively. But because now competitively you can just get the card in common, it's going to get to a max of maybe $40 and then stop, because no one really needs it that badly. The competitive players could just get it all in common and then throw it away the next time. The majority of the time, the only people who are buying it for so expensive are the cards who want, are the people who want pretty cards, and that's about it. And on the other side of things, this is artificial scarcity done by Konami to sell their boxes. So it was only a matter of time before a bunch of people realized, hey, supply and demand, if we get this stuff first, we can make a lot of money selling these cards. How do we change this and fix this? That is the question. And the answer might surprise you. It's pretty simple. You literally just have to protest to whatever government you have. In America right now, let's say we just went, no, this sucks, and we started protesting to our local governments, we've started protesting to our main governments. What would happen is eventually they would just change the gambling laws, because that's the issue. This person here brings up like an issue. They just say it's a lack of competition issue. That's just completely wrong. The issue is that in Japan, they have laws that prevent this, and in America, Australia, Europe, they don't have those laws, so they can basically sell them for as much as they want, and they can make them as rare as they want, because then you buy more boxes. That's the problem, not anything else. It's not just, oh, it's corporate greed. Yes, it's corporate greed, but corporations are always going to do what they're allowed to do. If you want this changed, you're the person who has to make that change. You have to get a bunch of people together, get a petition signed, do things to actually make this change, not just, well, I mean, this is BS and make a Reddit post. I mean, Reddit posts are good because realistically you can do something about it just by doing this over and over again, right? Like if you keep making these Reddit posts, you keep bringing your eyes to it, and then eventually you get enough people's attention to it, then you can take it out and maybe do a protest. That would be great. But the only way you can change this is if you put legislation in that changes the laws for gambling. That is it. Konami could just one day decide, oh, you know, maybe we should be nicer to our players. And I mean, if every single player leaves the game, sure, that's another way it could happen, but that's not going to happen realistically, because the people who play the game right now already understand that it's expensive to play, and they play it and enjoy it. So the only way to get this fixed is to just change the laws around it. People for years have changed laws. It's not as difficult as you'd think. That's why you have the right to protest. If you don't like it, get the gambling laws changed. That ends up helping a bunch of addicts, and it ends up helping your hobbies. So if people want to talk about this, just be aware, you have the power to change it. You just need to get enough people to change it. More or less, to understand is, the way to take away from this is, if you're really, for some reason, just sick and tired of the game being so expensive, you have the power to change it. If you want it changed, get a bunch of your friends, go to locals, see if you can convince people to actually get together and protest and get it changed. That's the only way to do it. Otherwise, shut up. It's not that I'm sick of hearing about it. Everyone wants to complain about this. Everyone wants it different. But unless rather every single player starts quitting or not buying product, Konami isn't going to change it. And the only way that you can change it forcefully, if you're going to keep playing the game, is to get the laws changed. Otherwise, I don't know why we keep having people just complain when we all really know the answer of how to fix this. Thank you. That is my 2 cents on it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I know this channel hasn't had a lot of content, but I intend to make more content going forward. Also, check out the main channel.